gentlemen, up next is a panel discussion. India versus Bharat. Bridging retail boundaries with technology and traditional practices. To moderate this panel, join me in welcoming on stage Mr. Anuj Puri, Chairman, ANAROCK Property Consultants Private Limited. Let's put our hands together and welcome Mr. Anuj Puri. And now for the panelists, Mr. Mohit Khattar, CEO, Graviss Foods Private Limited, Baskin Robbins. Let's put our hands together and welcome Mr. Mohit Khattar. We can do better than that, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. P. Jayakumar, CEO, Apollo Pharmacy. Welcoming Mr. P. Jayakumar. Mr. Ravi Kapoor, Partner and Leader Retail and Consumer Goods, PwC India. Mr. Sunil Sanklecha, Founder and Managing Partner, Nuts and Spices. Let's put our hands together and welcome Mr. Sunil Sanklecha. Mr. Tarak Bhattacharya, ED and CEO, Mad Over Donuts. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together and welcome Mr. Tarak Bhattacharya. Mr. Varun Tangri, CEO and Founder, QueueBuster. Let's welcome Mr. Varun Tangri, ladies and gentlemen. And Mr. Vineet Gautam, Country Head and CEO, Bestseller India. Over to you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. I think we guys are sitting in here between you and alcohol. So we'll try and wrap this up pretty quickly. I know it is late in the evening. I know many of you have had a pretty long day, pretty taxing day, taking a lot of gyan from many people who came up on this stage. We're going to make it a little bit more exciting, a little bit more interesting. The topic is also pretty unique. It is how do we bridge Bharat and India, which is really sort of rural or semi-urban, with urban. I mean, most of us are really on the urban side, and which is what we saw in the previous panel as well. We're going to try and decode what is there on the semi-urban, rural, and some of the plans of these large sort of boys who are here. We do need some diversity next time to have girls and boys rather than just all men panel sitting up here. But Mohit, let me first come to you. Mohit is the CEO of Gravitas Foods, which is Graviss Food, which is basically Baskin Robbins. I have Baskin Robbins about 100 feet away from where I live in Bandra, and I love your brand. My first question is really to you is, with the sort of growing health consciousness that is coming in, is how does Baskin Robbins address the demand for the guys who are becoming health conscious?
Well, to begin with, Anuj, for somebody who loves Baskin Robbins and has the Baskin Robbins 100 feet from his house, you're doing pretty well.
Thank you.
But having said that, honestly, people who are looking for desserts, people who are looking for sweets are not necessarily as conscious as our media would like us to believe. If there are brands in the dessert space that are continuously growing, and there are multiple brands in the industry, and the whole industry seems to be scaling really well, and then there are, of course, other categories like, donuts, and we have Tarak here, and we have various other categories, all of which seem to be scaling well. I can tell you that while health consciousness is there, India is still a pretty large country where there are different population segments, and there are different segments who demand different things. So there is a market for health products, and there is also a market for indulgence products.
Got it. Understood. We get the answer.
Having said that, as a company, we also have another brand, not under Baskin Robbins, where we cater to health conscious customers.
Got it. One of the things that I wonder Mohit, is that how does your supply chain logistics really work? I mean, it's ice cream. I know you've got cold storage trucks and the transportation, but how do you do this supply chain management? Given that you are going into some of the other markets, how does this really function? And if you were to go more deeper into Bharat, do you think you'll be able to manage the supply chain?
I don't see a challenge, and I'll explain this. Today, we are present in about 270 cities in the country.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
Fantastic,
So
guys.
we
270
already
cities.
supply to 270 cities, to our stores in each of those cities, and so on and so forth. Fact of the matter is that ice cream is a frozen product, so it's at -18. And as long as we have warehouses in our hubs, in the large cities in the country, which then work towards supplying to the smaller cities, I don't think there is a challenge. There is cold warehousing available in the country. Maybe there was a point in time 8-10 years ago when some of it was a challenge. Today it is not. There is enough and more capacity available. Similarly, there is cold transportation, or transportation in the negative zone, which is for frozen products, which is available. And that is how we manage it currently, and that is how we will manage it even for the next 100 towns or the next 200 towns.
Which is very, very exciting.
So
That means
I don't see that as a challenge.
it is not a
anymore.
challenge.
It
Okay.
was, so at a point in time, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, this could have been an issue. Today it is not. Today there is convergence between India and Bharat as far as infrastructure is concerned, and that is what is helping people like us.
And that was what was the biggest challenge earlier,
Absolutely.
if you were to look at
Absolutely. Today we have one factory which is supplying to the entire country, and not just our country, but also parts of the SAARC and Middle East and so on and so forth.
Oh, fantastic.
And we are able to manage that from India. So that tells you about the infrastructure that is available today.
Jay, I'm going to come to you straight from Baskin Robbins to Jay is the CEO of Apollo Pharmacy. Can you share your insights into this evolving healthcare market? And I see a lot of the wellness product preferences today in the market of the consumers, more so in rural India, rural or semi-urban.
Yes, sure. I think before I get in there, maybe just to share that what kind of a network we operate. Today we are the Asia's largest pharmacy chain. Post-pandemic, the pharmacy has got recognition as a retail. Otherwise, it's not been before. So we have 6,000 plus stores across, and everyone thinks that it's franchisee. No,
is amazing.
it's been completely operated by us.
So
And,
all these 6,000 are company operated?
Yes, company operated stores.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yes, we have 45,000 plus employees basically around the clock serving. 10% of our network is around 24 hours. And especially talk about the presence, what you are talking about is, we have a presence over 1,200 urban and rural tier 2, tier 3 as well as tier 4. And we have the minimum in terms of 10,000 population town where we have our pharmacies. I think that's the level we have reached out, and especially and rural India, we are talking about 253 district headquarters today we have our pharmacies. I think that's what we create, because our chairman vision is that how can you really give genuine medicine round the clock for every citizen of this country. That's where this real purpose has started 4 decades ago.
And
I think that's what
preferences change between when you do it in urban, semi-urban, rural?
And in terms of the core remains same. How do you really dispense the genuine medicines? But yes, the wellness is the part which is added now in the last 4 or 5 years. Especially that's what I'm trying to connect that questions which you are talking about. The 250 million prescriptions what we served last year. I think that's 50 million prescriptions what we served last year, and 55% of them are coming from the, as you said, the rural urban, the rural and tier 3 and tier 4. The categories are evolving. The post-pandemic people have really moved between cities to, the tier 2 and tier 3, and they need the kind of new products, whatever they've used in, urban, they wanted to really use it there in the rural. And also the aspirational, the report, before, we take off this session, the report was really clearly saying that the aspirational categories, people are really, experiencing it. For our category, it's more about Gen X, That's what we really serve because it's about chronic and acute. But in the off-late in the 3-4 years, it's about millennials and Gen Z. They're also really looking into the pharmacy as a category. The category specifically to talk about what are the categories are evolved. The big categories are VHMS, which is vitamin, health, mineral, and supplements. It's all about health, the gut health, and skin and beauty. People are looking for, the other wellness SKUs related to vitamins and plus. And apart from that, the alternate medicines, which is Ayurvedic and other stuff, which is also actually evolving. Specifically to talk about the skincare, just, the consumers comes and earlier they used to ask about, give me that skin cream,
Yes.
something like. Now, even in rural, the tier 2 and tier 3, they're talking about the condition management. I want specifically the product related to pigmentation, a product which has a niacinamide product, as a paraben-free. This is the
In rural as well.
Yes, this is in a tier 2, tier 3.
Which is
And the
fantastic,
kind of brands what we sell and which is sells in, the urban, almost that's the brands we sell in rural today. I think that's the the transformation has happened in the tier 3 and tier
And yeah, very heartening to note that is that, that it really the rural and semi-urban also have similar aspirations as urban. Otherwise, the thought is that perhaps they are going to be only on the essential side, not on the wellness side, but you're saying they're on the wellness and they're as aware. And maybe it is the percolation of the media as well, that they're very aware on this. My second question is, Jaya, is there any brand loyalty in pharmacy?
Definitely. Why? Because the 3-4, the major the points which derives about the loyalty. Because at the end of the day, this is an emotional category. People, when they are sick, they have to use medicines. In that, there are 5 things. Really, I can say that in our, the category what it is associated with, and it's all about. First is they talk about genuinity of the product, whether the chemist who is next to the neighborhood, whether he is giving the genuine product, because even today in India, there are certain percentage of spurious drugs. I don't want to put the percentage, and it's a WHO report, and so people are very conscious about what they are buying. Another one, it is a cure. So they wanted to go to the right pharmacy to get their medication. So the loyalty definitely. And another third one, it is not a destination category to go 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers radius. It's just 1 to 1.5 kilometer radius. They wanted to see a pharmacy and actually buy it. The fourth one is all about assortment and availability, because the doctor has written the prescription. I need to take the medication on the same time. Then the next day morning, I have to I have to see my cure is starting. So in that way, it's important whether the chemist who is next to me can able to give me what I want or what doctor has written. And the fourth one, which is all about, it's, how are you really assisting in terms, that means, in this, the entire healthcare, the hierarchy, after doctor and nurse, the third most believed and respected is the pharmacist.
It's the pharmacist.
So they actually go to the pharmacy where they could able to really give information, how to take the medication and stuff. I think that's where the 4. Finally, the value, the price, definitely it is there. I think these are the 5 factors consumer related to the brand. That's where they really come in.
And then, I remember when I was very young, which was many years ago, I do remember, my parents would go to the chemist at that time, which was in the neighborhood, and they wouldn't go to the doctor. They would actually go to the chemist and say, there's a headache, there's a stomachache, there's a, fever, and he would actually give the medicine. And 99% you feel well after that. So it is true is that, the chemist, pharmacist is well respected after the doctor and the nurse. Sunil, I'm going to come to you. I'm fascinated by your brand. Sunil is the founder and managing director, managing partner of Nuts and Spices. I mean, it's like a fantastic brand. I just want to understand, your journey of Nuts and Spices.
Okay.
You're the founder. How did you find this?
See, this has happened in 1999. Actually, I come from a background of a grocery store. My grandfather had a grocery store in Chennai. So I come from the background. So I normally had a tendency to come out with an exclusive store for dry fruits, because we never had such kind of concept earlier when I was sitting in my grandfather's store. So this was the idea around me. This idea was there around me in early 90s itself. But then there were circumstances which happened to happen, and then it all in 1999 we started the first store in Chennai, and this June we are going to complete 25 years of the operationals. And this concept of making this exclusive store for dry fruits was to give health and give good products and international products. And so we mixed the entire store concept into a gourmet segment. See, a lot of these words which were never coined those times. So all those things which we did it right at the beginning itself. Like now today we are talking about the private labels. In fact, 25 years now, we have not even sold a single product in our category like dry fruits and spices in any brand. So we had sold from the day one only selling our own products with our own labels. So this has made us more successful in the category. And right now, if you see, there are about floods of the brands have come in the post-COVID. Because the entire post-COVID, the category itself has grown exponentially because everybody is looking for healthy products. And in that, if you take our entire merchandising, we have about this, the concept is about 1,000 square feet or 1,200 square feet store, in which we have about 3,000 SKUs, which is about 20 to 25% is our private label. But if you take the revenue, we have about more than 55% of the revenue comes from my private labels.
Fantastic.
So this is one thing which we did right from the day one, which made us actually stand apart from the industry.
And given, this awareness of health, you think the brand is going to be able to percolate into semi-urban and rural or not really?
Absolutely. In fact, we feel after we started the online format, basically when we started online was about 8 or 9 years back, for the simple reason because a lot of our own customers has moved from Chennai to a lot of other parts of the country. Like people moved to Delhi or maybe Bangalore or Hyderabad. They wanted our products. So they started calling us and asking us to post the product. So that is how we started the entire online model. And in fact, after starting the online model, we feel that from the tier 2, tier 3 cities, the tractions are much better. In fact, they don't mind paying those kind of premium as long as they are getting the products right.
And Sunil, have you opened stores in those markets or this is only online?
No, right now we are about 36 stores. Of that, 34 is in Chennai, and we have one store in Coimbatore and one in Pondicherry. And we are opening, in April, we are opening the Trichy stores. So we are now planning to go to down south, all the tier 2, tier 3 cities. So we have found the traction there, and through the online format, we find that there is a huge potential there.
And online is coming from tier 2, tier 3.
Yes,
cities, the demand. And
yes.
what will be the portion of your sales online from these cities?
Not too significant. I would still say we are about 1.5% of the entire sales which comes from the online model. But we have recently, just before Diwali, we had also started the app, which was only for the QCommerce, these are for the local city. So since we have 34 locations in the city, so we thought of why not start the QCommerce also, so which gives a delivery in 1 hour's time to customers. So we are also evolving with the technology because as and when the customers changes, we have to adapt the changes.
Tarak, I'm going to come to you. He's a very funny man, guys. When we open up the Q&A, ask all the tough questions to him. Mad over donut is primarily urban centric. Do you think, Tarak, this is going to go into sort of Bharat?
Yes, why not? We are still into metro cities as yet. We still have to enter a lot of more cities in India itself. Rural is very far. We still have to enter tier 2, etc. Although we have started one of them in Baroda. Well, I will not call it a tier 2 city, but I think there is a huge aspiration. People have started traveling the world. They know what donut is all about. We had a tough time when we actually launched. People used to actually, I don't want to say it. I keep on saying it, but we used to call sweet medu vada actually.
Sorry, sweet?
Medu vada. Yeah. So that transfer of knowledge from a sweet medu vada to a donut, English speaking, was a little bit tough. But I think we managed it very well now. We are a good 100 crore company by selling donuts. Nobody believes us though, but we are actually. But yeah, you're right. I think there is an aspirational value.
There's an aspirational value
to the brand now. I think the donuts has become quite popular, although it is still not a staple product. I'll put it that way. It is still niche, between niche and staples. There is somewhere it is between. I think that is why we are successful. I think more than anything else.
Correct.
So yeah, we are planning to get into many more cities. So,
Tarak, any sort of unexpected opportunity that arose, either when you were expanding into markets or circumstances threw at you?
so I think I'll quote an example. Now I know I can keep on talking about COVID, but I think during COVID, survival was one thing, and I can keep on claiming that we made amazing delivery thing and we started online delivery, etc. But I think it was time for survival. I will put it that way, and that is where I think the cloud kitchen came into play for us. And that continued. I think today we are almost at a 15% of our business is from cloud kitchens.
So before COVID, there was no cloud kitchen.
There was no cloud kitchen. Nobody.
Really?
It was called ghost kitchen somewhere,
Huh.
not cloud. So I don't know where the ghost went then. It became cloud. I think. Cloud, I think. Yeah. So I think. I think so. That became an important thing, and today we can claim that we were amazing. But I think it was survival of the fittest. I think we survived that time, and today cloud kitchen actually has become a #1 positioning kind of thing, where we can actually understand the market before actually spending a lot of capex into a store, into a territory. Before that, we get into a cloud kitchen and understand what's happening, and then we can actually transfer those people into the stores then. So that has been helping us.
Ravi, we were speaking about India versus Bharat and, urban versus sort of semi-urban, rural. Do you think this semi-urban, rural is only a fad, fashion, nice thing to talk about, or you genuinely think there is meat in that? And I'll tell you, I'm in the real estate business. Ultimately, 80% of Indian real estate is the top 7 cities. 20% of it is, everything else. It's very ego boosting, tier 2, tier 3, and to talk about, various sort of cities. But ultimately, at least in our sector, it is. So I just want to understand from your thought process as PwC, what do you think of this semi-urban, rural versus urban?
Thanks, Anuj. And I have just a one-word answer for this question, and the answer is Ayodhya. 12 months back, how many of you would have invested in Ayodhya real estate? No one, right?
Very nice. Very good example. Beautiful example. Beautiful example.
I am told now the land prices in Ayodhya are higher than Powai, right? I live in Powai, not very far from here. So my cook is from Ayodhya, and I kind of envy him. He's got a... So I think, genuinely saying, I think as father of the nation used to say, India is in the villages. I think India definitely is Bharat. I think there was a huge hue and cry that will India be renamed Bharat. I was really looking forward for it because it's genuinely where India is. And I think if you really look at it from all the metrics, we just showed a number of 55%, where the kind of business traction we are generating only from online tier 2, 3, 4 markets is eclipsing the metro markets already, right? Even though we have this famous, fairly well understood segmentation of India as India Alpha, India 2, India 3. India Alpha typically are people with per capita incomes hitting what a Taiwan earns, what a Mexico earns, and India 3 is like $1,500. Overall, India is $2,500. So there's a lot of skewness in where the wealth is, but there is absolutely no skewness where the aspiration is. And if you believe in the India story and the fact that India is going to become number 3 and hopefully, number 3, right? Number 5 to number 3 economy, I think the generation incrementality is going to come from these markets. And so clearly that's where the opportunity is.
That is where the opportunity is,
Absolutely.
Irrespective of, the values that tier 1 cities are being able to draw. But you're right, Ravi, your thought is that over a period of time, it is really going to be Bharat, which is going to propel India's GDP growth.
Yep, 100%.
Varun, talk a little bit about QueueBusters. So Varun is the CEO and founder of QueueBusters. Tell us a little bit about what QueueBuster is.
Sure. And I think since the topic is India versus Bharat, so let me switch to a more local language. कितने लोग हिंदी में comfortable हैं? ठीक ठाक होंगे, right? तो मैं थोड़ा इसको हिंदी कर देता हूँ. 2009 में ग्रेजुएट हुआ दिल्ली कॉलेज ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग से एज कंप्यूटर साइंस मेजर. फिर सैमसंग चला गया, 3 साल वहाँ काम किया, बहुत बोर हुआ. 2012 में अपने भाई के साथ मिलके वी स्टार्टेड आवर फर्स्ट कंपनी. तो पहली कंपनी थी एक सर्विस बेस्ड कंपनी, वेबसाइट्स और ऐप्स बनाते थे. उसमें भी 2 साल में बोर हो गए। फिर एक पहला प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च किया एंड्रॉयड बेस्ड पॉइंट ऑफ सेल सिस्टम फॉर रेस्टोरेंट्स। तो रेस्टोरेंट्स के लिए बहुत ही लेटेस्ट और बहुत न्यूएस्ट था उस टाइम पर। एक कस्टमर मिला सलेट सिटी वॉक मॉल साकेत दिल्ली में, जनवरी 2015 में लॉन्च किया। 3 महीने में दीपेंद्र ने देख लिया, जोमेटो वाले दीपेंद्र ने मिला, एक्विजिशन ऑफर की एंड वी गॉट एक्वायर्ड। तो 2015 में पहली इंडियन एक्विजिशन हो गए हम, और 6 लोगों की कंपनी थी तो पैसे भी ठीक ठाक मिल गए। फिर 2016 तक वाइंड अप हो गया बिकॉज स्विगी आ गया था और बहुत सारी चीज़ें हो रही थी उस टाइम पे फूड टेक में। 2016 में बाहर आए और क्यूबस्टर स्टार्ट किया। आइडिया बहुत सिंपल था, एंड्रॉयड बेस्ड पॉइंट ऑफ सेल करेंगे क्योंकि विंडोज बेस्ड पॉइंट ऑफ सेल का एक स्टैग्नेशन पॉइंट है, उसके बियॉन्ड नहीं जा सकता, छोटे मर्चेंट्स तक नहीं ले सकता, जिनके पास स्पेस कंस्ट्रेंट है वो नहीं ले सकते, जिनके पास पैसे ज़्यादा नहीं है वो नहीं ले सकते। तो जो 90% भारत है वो शायद पॉइंट ऑफ सेल नहीं ले पाएगा। वो क्या ले पाएगा? कोई एंड्रॉयड बेस्ड सोल्यूशन जो सस्ता चलता हो, अच्छा चलता हो बट सस्ता हो। उससे शुरू किया, 3-4 साल तक प्रोडक्ट ही बनाते रहे बिकॉज मल्टी इंडस्ट्री बनाना था, हर इंडस्ट्री के लिए बनाना था। तो 3-4 साल तक स्टेल्थ मोड में प्रोडक्ट बनाया। उसके बाद थैंकफुली पाइन लैब्स एंड पेटीएम जैसी कंपनीज आ गई अपने एंड्रॉयड डिवाइसेस लेके, हार्डवेयर लेके। तो हमने विक्रम बेताल खेला उनके साथ, वो विक्रम हम बेताल, वो जहाँ जहाँ जाते थे उसके ऊपर हम अपना सॉफ्टवेयर डाल के चलाते थे। तो बढ़िया हो गया, 500 आउटलेट 600 आउटलेट से 15,000 आउटलेट पे पहुँच गए विद इन आई थिंक 2-3 ईयर्स। फिर हमें लगा कि हम फोड़ देंगे इस बार, 2020 में तो बंद हो गया सब कुछ एंड वी सारा रिटेल बंद। We went back to the drawing board, थोड़े प्रोडक्ट में और फीचर डाले।
तब तक कोई फंडिंग नहीं थी?
तब तक कोई फंडिंग नहीं थी, बूटस्ट्रैप्ड ही थे। फिर 2021 में लगा कि मार्केट में बहुत पैसा है, हमें भी उठा लेना चाहिए। तो हम क्यों पीछे रहे, और प्रोडक्ट तो अच्छा ही है, मतलब फाउंडर्स भी अच्छे हैं, बैकग्राउंड भी है, 10 साल हो गए करते करते। तो हम गए इन्वेस्टमेंट रेस करने, हमने 17 इन्वेस्टर्स को पिच किया, 8 टर्म शीट मिल गई। $5 मिलियन का राउंड था, वो $8.5 मिलियन का हो गया।
क्या बात कर रहे हो?
हमने उठा लिए।
ओह माय गॉड, वेल डन, वेल डन।
उठा लिए। जून 2022 में पैसे आ गए, 22 लोगों की टीम थी, अब 122 की हो गई है, और नाउ वी कुड अफोर्ड। और उसके बाद ही पॉपुलर होना शुरू हुए हैं, और पिछले 1.5 साल में आई थिंक वी हैव डिसेंटली ग्रोन, सो वी आर शोइंग समवेयर अराउंड 2x ग्रोथ एवरी ईयर। डिसेंट ग्रोथ चल रही है एंड आई थिंक इस पैनल पे जितने भी रिटेलर्स हैं वो सब मेरा टारगेट है। तो मैं इन सबको पकड़ूंगा कभी ना कभी, बट ये थोड़े ऑर्गेनाइज ज्यादा है ना,
ऑर्गेनाइज है।
हाँ, तो थोड़े डिमांड भी ज्यादा है, बट ठीक है। तो प्रोडक्ट बेसिकली बिलिंग, इन्वेंट्री, खाता, ऑनलाइन दुकान, सीआरएम, लॉयल्टी, हर तरह की चीज करता है प्रोडक्ट। और SMBs से लेकर यूनिलीवर तक यूज करता है, पान की दुकान से लेकर हेनेकिन तक यूज करता है। 9 कंट्रीज में हैं अब हम, 9 कंट्रीज और 70,000 के करीब दुकानें हैं, और अब ठीक जा रहे हैं।
फैंटास्टिक यार, फैंटास्टिक, थैंक यू। एंड वरुण, दोबारा रेज किया कि नहीं? 2021 के बाद रेज किया पैसा दोबारा?
जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ी, मेरे पास अभी भी 60-70% पड़ा है वो। मेरे को प्रेशर जरूर आता है इन्वेस्टर से कि और रेस करो, बट मैं क्यों रेस करूं? आई हैव अ लॉट ऑफ मनी इन बैंक, व्हाई डू आई नीड मोर मनी राइट नाउ? आई डेफिनेटली नीड मोर क्लाइंट्स। तो
और रेज मत करना,
कोशिश तो यही है।
But I thought Varun, pressure रहता है हमेशा to startups who are successful like yours to continue to raise and continue to spend that money.
Sir,
I mean, you're a rare guy in this, is because if you look at it, 2021 में a lot of the startups raised tons of money, and they spent more money than they would have raised it. But you're a unique guy. You didn't spend that money.
सर हमारे जो हमारे क्या कहते हैं, जिनसे हम इंस्पिरेशन लेते हैं, वो हैं श्रीधर बेम्बू। जोहो से बहुत इंस्पिरेशन लेते हैं हम। अगर वो एक 10,000 करोड़ की कंपनी बना सकते हैं विदाउट रेजिंग एनी कैपिटल, तो ही इज़ आवर बेंचमार्क। उनकी वही है कि हम उनकी पूजा करते हैं। तो आई थिंक B2B SaaS में बहुत ज़्यादा पैसे खर्चने की जरूरत नहीं होती है, प्रोडक्ट अच्छा है तो चलता है। तो आई थिंक सबको ये करना। B2C कंपनीज में थोड़ा इशू ज़्यादा है क्योंकि मार्केटिंग बर्न बहुत ज़्यादा लग जाता है, बट आई थिंक फॉर अस इफ द प्रोडक्ट इज सेलिंग वेल, व्हाई टू बर्न?
I have advice for you. हम लोग क्लाइंट बने ना बने, एडवाइजरी शेयर्स ले सकते हैं हम लोग, है ना? राइट?
जी सर, at 10x the valuation.
So Vineet, coming to you on the bestseller, which operates all these fashion brands which are sort of catering to very diverse consumer segment. How do you approach this product segmentation? Particularly when you go into from urban to semi-urban.
I'll say in Hindi, continuing with him, one line, Bharat badal raha hai. And I think in the last 14 years of being in Bestseller, I have seen substantial change in this country in terms of consumption, especially on the fashion space.
सर हिंदी बोला था आपने
उसके बाद मैंने बोला एक लाइन बोल पाऊंगा, मेरी हिंदी बड़ी कमजोर है. हिंदी बड़ी कमजोर है. वेयर हाउस जाता हूँ, बड़ा मुश्किल होता है मेरे को बात करना वहाँ भी. So consumption is really changing. The country is changing, and I think the major reason for this is digital. The cheap internet and the telephony cost that is there in this country has changed everything in this country.
Bilkul.
And I think that's where segmentation is not such a large issue, because a top seller is a top seller anywhere you go in this country. जो product दिल्ली में बिक रहा है वही अजमेर में भी बिक रहा है.
क्या बात कर रहे हैं? Really?
As a top seller, the category mix will change, the price mix will change. Maybe उतनी depth में नहीं बिक रहा, but top seller ही है, कहीं भी आप खरीद लो. And I think that is what is changed in this country. People are much aware about what trend, because we are in a trend business. So I can only say from a trend perspective. The trend requirement of the customer in Ajmer, or you go to a Vizag where our friend is opening a very large mall, or you come to Delhi or a Bombay, is the same requirement.
I didn't think so. I thought that it would be, the bestseller in Bombay, Delhi would be very different to Ajmer or Lucknow or Kanpur.
So yes, it will be different in terms of category mix. I think in terms of fits, in terms of color choices, but the trend will remain the same. So I can give you example of a denim. These days denim, it's हम लोग सब crack कर रहे हैं जितने denim वाले हैं कि denim में बिक क्या रहा है. Punjab is only selling boot cuts.
Sorry, Punjab?
Punjab is only selling boot cuts.
Boot cuts.
Right. West is still rare at regular. और वो South slim में बैठे हैं. वहाँ अभी भी slim बिक रहा है. So that is the category levels adjustment that you still need to do, and you need to understand that market. And that can only happen when you are very, very close to the market. It cannot happen sitting in rooms where a lot of our buyers believe उनको सब पता है. But I think the main thing is to how close you are to the market. And I think it is also because of how we've built our system of feedback, how we are able to see data. And I think we are able to look at consumer preferences a little bit earlier than what others can see, because we are in the trend category. But yes, localization is important. Pricing is very critical. And I will say that has nothing to do with urban or rural or the tier ones. It is also to do with which part of the city you are in. Very different in a Bandra to a Ghatkopar or a Thane to a Navi Mumbai. And I think that kind of localization is required in fashion, because customer does not mind traveling in case you are not able to give him or her the product. So it's not in their case like 1.5 kilometers. हमारे यहाँ पे 30 किलोमीटर पे चले जाएंगे, right? Then that opening that store is not viable for you if you're not able to cater to that consumer. Because if she or he wants that trend, they will not mind going to a Linking Road store of ours where you. So we need to figure out what exactly. Have we cracked it? No, I think that's why a lot of people in our company are in the job. But I think it's a continuous effort to know, learn, understand. And I think we speak to our people a lot. Also, it's an advantage because we have a retail direct model. So the feedback is quite faster. Our people are a lot more fashion. We speak a lot more fashion, trend to consumers, and I think that's where we get a lot of information back. But I think there's a long way for us to learn Bharat. It's completely a new thing for all of us. We retail out of 150 cities, if I remember now.
You have 150 cities.
Our own retail runs from 150 cities in the country today. Not from own stores, but we also operate shop-in-shops in very large, and now we've also entered distribution. So uska count mere paas hai nahi. But 150 direct retail we run, and I think that's a very large advantage that we get compared to what others have done in the international brand business.
And then when you go into these 150 different locations, what are the key considerations that you choose? That this is a location that I'm going to go, and this is a location, no, I'm not really going to go?
So I think one part that we've decided and has been there for long, we prefer to be in a shopping mall.
In a shopping mall?
Yeah. Okay. I think the combined strength of so many retailers, they put mind to come into a shopping mall. I think it's better than our gut feel, like mine and Sumit's gut feel. So we prefer to be in a shopping mall, one. The other is, a lot of micro data points that are available in terms of car consumption, automobile consumption, banks. I think you look at the bank branch data, we study that a very lot, because I think banking goes the first and then others follow.
I agree.
So I
Yes,
think we look at how
absolutely.
much bank branch distribution has increased, and when you see a lot of private banks entering a market, you suddenly see there's going to be consumption because there's going to be saving, then they're going to consume, and very big trend that we are seeing, and I'm very happy with that trend because we are in the other side. India is becoming a consumption economy from saving economy. It's not changed as fast as it should, but I think as we hit the tipping point in the next few years, where we are talking about the third economy on 10 trillion, I think a lot more consumption will happen, a lot more spending on lifestyle will happen, and I think that will give us the impetus to grow from 150 cities to 300 in the next few years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mohit, we have about 20 minutes left. I'm going to ask, it is almost 6:15. I'm going to ask you some sort of interesting question.
Sure.
Your way to unwind after a long day like this?
A drink. And either maybe before that a little ice cream, I guess.
Great. Jay? What is the most memorable mistake you have made in your career? And what did you learn from it? Most memorable mistake.
Quickly to, it's a top of the mind because the 30 years career, especially when we are doing the rollout phase at speed, what we have done, we are basically a South-based company where we started first there. The toolkit, whatever we had in South, I think I still remember, I just replicated that, the city where we are sitting is Mumbai. And without understanding the local market, without having any local guy, and we came here and we have just, put this toolkit and we have just opened the store. Lot of tons of money we lost it.
What are you saying, really?
Yes.
No, this city is very kind.
Retail is all about location and location and location. And you're coming into the new city, you should understand, because Bombay, we are unable to understand the geographies, how we understand and South. I think we are the retailer before, the good retailers like Wellness and other team were here. They have done, and we had 175 stores in 2010 itself in Mumbai. And we need to almost wind up everything like 110 stores plus in 3 years. And now we are rebuilding once again with all our, the learnings. I think that's my costliest mistake, but retail is all about learning. And since we have around 1,200 cities, I think the learning comes from each and every city. I think that's costliest mistake I can recollect when you just asked me, top of my mind.
No, this is great. Sunil? If you had a choice to have dinner with any 3 people in the world, who would those be on your invite list?
Very tricky question. I think if given a chance, I believe in a man is a product of his thoughts. So I would love to have a person like one I think must be Mukesh Ambani, because I would love to understand how he thinks, how his ideas works, because he is a visionary.
True.
I know what is going to happen after 10 years, he starts working today. So that kind of ideas, how does he get, how he thinks about it. So that would be my preference, that I would love to have a date with him, have a dinner with him. And another person I look up to is our father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, given a chance, because the kind of standpoints he used to take has actually made me, in a lot of my standpoints, he has really helped us. Like, you have to take a decision, I have to stand by it. I think the second person I would love to have if somebody given a chance, should be Mahatma Gandhi. And on the lighter side, I think the third must be from the Bollywood industry also. My favorite, Madhuri Dixit. Why not?
Tarak, what was the hardest decision that you have taken as a leader? Hardest decision that you have taken as a leader?
I think I said it last time that the biggest decision was to survive during COVID. I think shifting our base from like we went into phygital basically, from a physical store to a digital store, like as I said, online to cloud kitchen. I think that could be one of the hardest decisions which I've taken because I had to take care of those 300 families who were working with that time. I think it was really tough that time because I had
And
to
these
survive.
300 families, because they were out there.
Yes, they were out there working in the store. We had not asked them to leave because it was COVID.
Big thing. I agree with you, Tarak.
So-
I mean, if something was to happen,
Yeah.
it would have been tough.
Yeah, so we managed. I think it is today I can talk big things, but frankly speaking, it was really, really difficult, I can tell you. But we survived, I think.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. I was just living the way that you were speaking is that it was a tough one because, many of the families would say, why do you have to go?
Correct.
We guys were cocooned at home. We didn't step out at all. And yet your teams were out there, servicing it or online, on the
Absolutely.
delivery. It's a tough one to do that.
Absolutely. So I think those, thinking about those 300 families all the time made me going, I think, during that time.
Ravi, what's the success mantra? Is it grit and determination or is it a good idea?
Very simple answer both. Because I think what Edison said, right? 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. I think you need to do both in today's world. Yeah.
But if you were to pick one, which will you pick up? Great idea or grit and determination?
I'll go for grit and determination because that's a more fail-safe method than one kind of a eureka moment, which is very hard to come by.
I agree with that. Varun, the best piece of advice you have ever received and how has it influenced your career?
So I will again split this answer into two parts. One is everyone has an advice, so whether it applies to you doesn't matter. But in the 12 years of my entrepreneurial journey, एक एडवाइस जो मिली थी जो बहुत अच्छी थी कि लॉन्जेविटी ब्रिंग्स सक्सेस. अब इसको समझना पड़ेगा. आप जितना लंबा टिकोगे ना, सक्सेस उतना ज़्यादा करीब आता जाएगा. बिकॉज अगर आप 6 महीने आपने स्टार्ट करी, 6 महीने में यू आर बर्न्ड आउट, खत्म हो गया बिल्कुल. देयर आर वेरी लेस चांसेस दैट यू विल बी सक्सेसफुल. लॉन्जेविटी लाने के लिए करना क्या पड़ेगा? सर्वाइवल के लिए क्या जरूरी है? जो करना पड़े वो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, ड्यूरिंग आवर अर्ली डेज, my father being a banker had no money to give it to us to start our business. तो कुछ नहीं था, started with zero, had education loans, had a lot of loans. तो कंपनी सर्वाइव करने के लिए डे जीरो रेवेन्यू नहीं था, तो कभी फिजिक्स की क्लासें ले ली, उससे कंपनी सर्वाइव कराई.
Wow.
किसी से दोस्त से उधार ले लिया, उससे कंपनी सर्वाइव कराई. लॉन्जिविटी इंश्योर करी कि जब तक एक ऐसा कस्टमर क्लाइंट मोमेंट नहीं आया था जो हमारा P&L हैंडल कर ले, तब तक कंपनी चलानी जरूरी है. मोस्टली लोग 99% वो लॉन्जिविटी अटेन नहीं कर पाते, इसकी वजह से बाहर चले जाते हैं. बिकॉज यू कांट गारंटी सक्सेस. अगर आप जिंदा रहोगे, अब मैंने इन सबको स्टोरी सुना दी, कभी ना किसी दिन अगर मैं जिंदा रहा, 2 साल बाद तक कंपनी जिंदा रही, तो शायद इनको एक दिन समझ में आ जाएगा कि यार चलो इनके साथ कर लेते हैं कुछ ना कुछ. तो वो आई थिंक वाज द बेस्ट पीस ऑफ एडवाइस जो एक ऐसी रैंडम डिस्कशन में निकली थी कि जितना लंबा टेन्योर रखोगे, दैट विल बिल्डिंग, कभी ना कभी तो सक्सेस आएगा ही आएगा.
And Varun, this Warren Buffett has said this is that every day I live, I become stronger. Every day I live, I become stronger. Exactly in those ways only is कि जितना मैं यहाँ पे रहता रहूँगा उतना मैं stronger. And ये business का मंत्र है कि जितना आप रुके रहोगे, डट के खेलते रहोगे, आप strong बनते जाओगे. Because other players will get out. आप अटके रहोगे उसके अंदर इस वहाँ पे. Very good advice, guys. Vineet, finally to you. आपकी शक्ल देखते हुए मैं पूछता हूँ एक question. If you had the opportunity to start your career in a different industry, which one would you choose and why?
I think you know the answer, but I think hospitality, I think is why, because I passed out of hotel management college. I have nothing to do with fashion in my life. I didn't study fashion, I'll say. I have a lot to do with fashion now. So I did hotel management, so I think, but not pursued that career. So I think if that was to start someday today, would be hospitality business than maybe anything else. But I think it's also the customer service business. It's the same remains the same. So I think that's something
Makes
which I would like
sense.
to do.
Yeah. Guys, we're going to open it up for a couple of questions. Please feel free if you have any, and if you can identify yourself, and also you can know which of these panelists you want to ask the question. That'll be great. Please.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Deepak. I head the enterprise business at QueueBuster. This question is for Baskin Robbins, sir. I understand that organizations which have a larger presence spread across the retail stores, the scale that you have, it's always a confusion at the leadership level, build versus buy, right? So considering your own experience of handling, let's say, multiple service providers helping you with different technology platforms or the applications that have been utilized, what is your experience and what is your, if you could share the pearls of wisdom in terms of build versus buy, what has been your experience? What is the recommendation for other people across F&B businesses?
See, it really depends on perspectives in different organizations, but I can share mine with you, and this is very simple. We are not experts in the area that you are coming from, right? In that area, if I was to build, it's going to take me far greater effort, far greater money, etc., and we may still not be with it, definitely over a period of time. Some organizations which may be much larger in scale, let's say, the multi-million-dollar organizations, they might want to build. But a lot of us, which are more medium-sized, would prefer to buy the best solution that is customizable for our needs and, can keep scaling up the way, as our business scales up and as our requirements evolve. As long as the model that is being offered can do all of this, I would much prefer to buy rather than to build.
Can I also add that I think build your core, buy everything else. Nothing else.
We essentially specialize in building our operations and how we want to reach out to customers. That's our core strength. Rest of it is not our core strength.
I think it's pretty late in the evening. Guys, thank you very much. You've been an awesome audience. Thank you to all my panelists. Big round of applause for them. Guys, thank you. All the very best as we grow Bharat to make it into a more formidable India. May all of you prosper. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I request you to stay back, please. As I request our moderator, Mr. Anuj Puri, to felicitate our panelists one by one. Starting with Mr. Mohit Khattar, CEO, Graviss Foods Private Limited, Baskin Robbins. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mohit Khattar, CEO, Graviss Foods Private Limited, Baskin Robbins. Being felicitated by Mr. Anuj Puri, Chairman, ANAROCK Property Consultants Private Limited. Mr. P. Jayakumar, CEO, Apollo Pharmacy. Mr. Ravi Kapoor, Partner and Leader, Retail and Consumer Goods, PwC India. Mr. Sunil Sanklecha, Founder and Managing Partner, Nuts and Spices. Mr. Tarak Bhattacharya, ED and CEO, Madover Donuts. Mr. Varun Tangri, CEO and Founder, QueueBuster. Mr. Vineet Gautam, Country Head and CEO, Bestseller India. And to felicitate our wonderful moderator for this last panel here, I'd like to invite on stage Dr. Lawrence Fernandez, Director, Retail Learning and Member Relationship, RAI. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Mr. Anuj Puri, Chairman, ANAROCK Property Consultants Private Limited, being felicitated by Dr. Lawrence Fernandez, Director, Retail Learning and Member Relationship, RAI.